I'm 25 years old and this is how I grew a YouTube channel to over 800,000 subscribers. Before you go there, no, it's not this channel, and no, it's not my personal brand. It was a brand channel, also known as a faceless channel. I started off with just the love of watching YouTube, the love for YouTube itself. I really did not have any guidance in the beginning, and I probably made all the mistakes that you can imagine. Some are beginner mistakes and some are mistakes that literally could have saved me years if I had just done things differently. So with that said, I'm not here to pretend I know everything. I'm just here to show you everything that I've learned from all the mistakes that I made, so hopefully they can help you in your creator journey. So here are the 10 lessons that I learned from growing a YouTube channel to over 800,000 subscribers. The first lesson I learned is to niche down. One of the biggest mistakes I see new creators make is that they don't pick a niche, or they pick one but they actually don't stick to it. You see, you need to know who exactly you are talking to. You just can't simply be making videos and talking to everyone on YouTube. You have to have a specific avatar in mind for your specific target audience. And how you do this is by asking questions about your audience. For example, what are the characteristics? Who are they? Who were they when they were young? What do they care about? Why are they clicking on your video? And honestly, you have to stop worrying about the algorithm so much, because algorithm simply equals people. So if you focus on making content for real people, YouTube will serve your videos to the right audience. And where I see most people mess up is that they try to make content for multiple niches and then they just end up confusing the YouTube algorithm. On the other hand, if you go all in one niche, YouTube actually starts to understand your channel. They actually start to push your videos to the right audience. People start to click on them and your channel grows. Plus, you have to think about it from a viewer's perspective. It's also confusing. If you're all over the place, some people like certain types of your videos, but others don't. So what happens is that your channel never builds real momentum. And the reason I know this is because I used to do the exact same thing. I'd post fitness videos one week, the next week I was posting business documentaries, the next week I was posting motivational content. I was literally all over the place. So no one really knew what my channel was about. Not YouTube, not my target audience. Well, now that I think about it, I didn't even have a target audience. Once I picked a niche, which was the motivational niche, everything started to work. Number 2 is to commit. You need a posting schedule, and more importantly, you need a long-term mindset. Most people treat YouTube with a short-term mindset. They post for a month, then they don't see results, and then they quit. Instead, what I recommend is that you need to decide upfront, I'm gonna commit 6 months, I'm gonna commit 1 year, 2 years. And during that time that you commit, you're not debating whether you should do it or you should not do it. You have already committed to the time that you said you will commit to. So pick a niche, pick a posting schedule, and pick something that you can realistically stick to, whether that's 1 video a week, 2 videos a month, whatever works for you, and then stick to it no matter if you get 0 views or 1,000,000 views, because what matters here is consistency. And I'm telling you this because I learned this the hard way. I used to start channels all the time, get excited, post a few videos, and then quit because I didn't see results. I didn't commit and stay consistent for a long enough time frame to actually start to see results. And I kept doing this for a few channels, and then eventually I tried YouTube again. And for this one channel, I told myself that I'm uploading every week no matter what. It didn't matter if the video flopped, it didn't matter if nobody watched. What mattered was that I showed up every single week to post that 1 video. And that is the channel that I eventually hit 800,000 subscribers with. Not because I got lucky, but because I stayed consistent and improved video by video, when in reality, most people would have quit. The third lesson that I learned is that when something starts to work, you want to double down on it. When I committed to posting every week, eventually 1 video took off. And then when that happened, I didn't try to reinvent the wheel. I didn't throw everything away and said, oh, now I need to do, better, higher quality content and do different type of content, right? I asked myself, okay, this video went viral. How can I do more of this? How can I do a second version? How can I do part 2? How can I build on this idea? Or how can I add a twist to make this idea a little bit different, but still have the same format and be similar enough so that my audience could be interested to the one that had just gone viral? Because the reality is, when something works, when you get something to take off, basically what your audience is telling you. Hey, we like this style of content, we like this format, make more of this. And this is where I see a lot of creators make the mistake that they finally get something to go viral and then they want to change their whole strategy. They want to pivot into brand new concepts. And don't get me wrong, experimenting with new ideas and new formats is important, but it's actually smarter. Once you get something to work, you want to double down on that first. And this is because there is proven demand for that content that has just gone viral. So if a video performs well, don't panic and change everything. Do a second version, add a twist to it, or just change it up a bit. And that's how your channel is going to start to get more and more momentum. And at the same time, you still need to experiment with new ideas, which leads me to the next lesson. The fourth lesson I learned is to keep experimenting. Yes, you should double down on the content that is working, but you also need to leave room for new ideas, room to test, room to innovate, because you don't want to get stuck doing one style or format of content forever. And when that type of content stops working, then you don't have nothing to pivot into. So what I like doing is saving 20% of my uploads for experiments. I try to do new formats, new angles, different style of content. And what I learned is that most of that won't work, and that's normal. But eventually one of those new styles and formats will work. And that's powerful because now you have a new style of content that works on top of the content that is already working. So when the content that is currently working on your channel stops working, you have different formats that you can pivot into because you've been experimenting with them. So with all this said, you want to keep doing the content that is currently working, but you also want to experiment so that eventually you find some other formats that also work on your channel that eventually you can pivot into. Number 5 is your packaging, and this is where we actually get into making the video. Your title and your thumbnail are so important. You can have a 10 out of 10 video, but if your packaging sucks, then nobody will click. Think about it like a movie poster. A movie can be incredible, but if the cover is boring or confusing, then a lot of people will just not go watch it. Same thing on YouTube. Your thumbnail is the movie poster and your title is the headline. They work together, and this is where a lot of creators mess up because they treat them separately. Your title and thumbnail should complement each other and not repeat the same thing. They should spark curiosity and make people want to click and watch, because YouTube now lets you A/B test and you can look at the data of which one people click on the most. So what I recommend you do is don't think about your title and thumbnail as an aftermath, as something that you do at the end of your video, just when you're about to go publish it. Do it at the beginning and think of your title and thumbnail as the first part of making a killer video, because if nobody clicks, nobody watches. Number 6 is have a strong intro. Once someone clicks, your intro has to be very strong because it's very easy for people to leave. If your intro is boring or doesn't deliver on the promise that you made in the title and thumbnail, they're gone. This is because people have so much content that they can choose from. They have the side menu with so many options. It's not like the movies that it's so much harder to leave the movie theater once you have paid to go watch the movie. So your intro has one job, and that is to give your audience a reason not to leave. And how that looks like is that you want to deliver on the promise that you made with your packaging and reassuring your viewer that this is exactly what they clicked for. Because the truth is, when I actually started taking intros seriously, when I started testing different ones, writing 2 to 3 intros for each video and picking the strongest one of them, this actually made a huge difference. I had the same video, but better intro meant better performance. Number 7 on the list is storytelling, and this is another huge lesson that I learned, which is storytelling wins. In the beginning, I wasn't really focused on storytelling. I mostly shared information, facts, motivation. But once I started to tell stories within my videos, everything changed. Where attention went up, people stayed longer for my videos. People enjoyed my videos so much more. And the way I know this is because they were literally saying it in the comments. You have to understand that at the end of the day, people don't just want facts or a list of events. They want stories, because stories make your content more human. They make your content more memorable. They make your content more relatable. Stories turn information into something people can connect with. And when people connect with something, they watch more of your content. So if you want higher retention and higher connection with your audience, don't just teach or don't just list events. Actually start telling stories, and you'll see that this will dramatically improve your retention. Number 8 is ideas. Another thing I cannot stress enough is the importance of ideation and coming up with ideas on a regular basis, whether that's daily or at a minimum, I would recommend on a weekly basis. When I started brainstorming ideas on a daily basis or minimum weekly basis, everything changed. I had a library of ideas and my ideas got better. And this was because I started to ideate on a weekly and sometimes even on a daily basis. And this just grew my library of ideas, and eventually I had endless of ideas that I can choose from, which I only chose the best ones. And going further into this, another tip that I have for you guys when ideating is to not get ideas only from YouTube, your channel, or your competitors, but actually go outside of YouTube. When I started getting ideas from outside, whether that's just on, my daily life and taking inspiration from everywhere, for example, TV shows, music, television, different types of media, I really started to have much better ideas. I was taking ideas from different TV shows, from different movie posters, and I was not tied to only YouTube, but I expanded my creative inspiration where I can get more creative ideas. And this really helped me out, because you're not just copying what already worked on the platform, but you're getting ideas from elsewhere. And one trick that I do is throughout the day, if I randomly have an idea, I pull out my phone and write it down on the Notes app or my Notion. Just write it down wherever you can store your ideas. Number 9, choose quality over quantity. I didn't care much about producing the highest quality video as long as it was good enough. I was prioritizing frequency, 4, 5, even 7 times a day. And to be fair, it actually worked back then. Back then, you can get away with lower quality content on YouTube. But in my opinion, that's not how YouTube works anymore. YouTube has matured as a platform and is moving more towards favoring quality over quantity, in my experience. So what I did is I flipped my approach. Instead of uploading 4, 5, 7 times a week, I only uploaded 1 to 2 higher quality pieces of content. And what I found out is that a high quality video will always beat multiple low effort videos. Especially nowadays, it's more competitive than ever. Creators are putting a lot of effort into making their videos. And YouTube isn't only competing with other social media platforms anymore, it's competing with the likes of Netflix and other social media streaming platforms. So what that means is that your video has to be much higher quality if you want people to choose your video to watch. So in my opinion, choose quality over quantity. Number 10 is to study your niche and know your competitive advantage. In the beginning, I honestly had no clue this even mattered, but now I see how important it is if you actually want to win on YouTube. Because like I said, YouTube is insanely competitive nowadays. So what I would do is ask myself, what is my competitive advantage in the niche that I want to enter? Maybe you're an expert, maybe you're a doctor, a lawyer, a dentist, a psychologist, an entrepreneur, or maybe you're not certified, but you've spent countless hours learning about the topic. You've been obsessed with it. You've watched thousands of videos. You've read about it. You think about it all the time. This gives you real knowledge. Or maybe your advantage is your personality. You're entertaining. You're funny. You're a personality like Ryan Trahan or Emma Chamberlain. The point is, you need to know why you're qualified and what's your competitive advantage in that specific niche. Because now that I look back at it, when I started my motivational channel, my advantage was simple. I was deeply passionate about the niche. I had watched thousands of motivational videos. I knew exactly what people liked, what people will watch, and what actually resonated with people in that niche. So you want to ask yourself, what's your competitive advantage? Once you find that, lean into that, because that will make all the difference. When I started in the creator space, I never knew these lessons and I had to learn them the hard way. My hope is that with this video, it can help you out, and that's the mission of this channel. So if you want more content like this, subscribe down below and I'll catch you guys in the next one.